just a woman. I'm more than just a person. I got all these dimensions.
Welcome back to my channel, Divine Orchid. So today I'm going to be talking about my healing after having an ectopic pregnancy. If you didn't see my video about my story time of when I had an ectopic pregnancy, I'm going to link it down below. So tonight I'm going to be doing some ginger tea with lemon. Mighty, you are in my... Oh my god. Okay, Mighty. All right, so today I'm going to be doing some ginger tea with lemon. You know, everyone's getting sick, so make sure you're drinking your teas and stuff like that. So let's backtrack just a little bit. So in my story time, I mentioned being discharged after an overnight stay. So once you're discharged, they tell you don't want to eat anything with like beans or cabbage, things that's going to make you bloated or have gas, because you don't want to put any pressure on the fallopian tubes. And also no drinking, no alcohol for like a month, because it's going to affect the methotrexate, as well as no sex, and then no unprotected sex for 3 months, because you want to have 3 normal periods before you think about, you know, conceiving again. So I get discharged from the hospital, I make it home, and then, you know, I got news that my uncle passed away. So that was 2 losses in the same day, and I think at that point I couldn't even accept it, because I was already struggling with 1 loss and physically going through everything. So throughout, like, you know, this healing journey, in the beginning, I know you're thinking that, oh, she's going to tell us like, you know, a bunch of healing stuff, but really the first few weeks, it wasn't all this great, you know, healing step-by-step type of thing. So the next day, the 29th, ended up being the birthday of what would have been my child's father. So then I was dealing with a lot of guilt of that, like, damn, you just ruined this man's birthday. Like, for the rest of his life, until he has another kid, he's going to always remember that he lost a child the day before his birthday, because he has no kids. And our child would have been each of ours first. So the day after, you know, I lost the baby, it was his birthday. So we went to Navy Pier, and it just seemed like that day and the days after, the weeks after, I would see a bunch of women that were pregnant, you know, people with their kids, families. And that was another thing that was, you know, hard to deal with. And then a week later, you know, they had the services for my uncle, which I watched over Zoom. But it was like, I was just so numb. And there was a lot of guilt that I felt, because it's like, I'm not even like grieving with my family. And once you pass and you become, you know, a soul in the spirit realm, everything that's of human nature, it's like, whatever. So I felt a lot of times, I hope my uncle isn't mad at me because I'm not grieving him. But looking back at it, that's so like stupid. And of course, here my radiator comes on. So I'm gonna have to record y'all. So I'm back, my radiator has stopped. This video has been the hardest video to record. I literally came back after my radiator and realized that I recorded the whole video, but all you can do is hear my voice. You can't see me. So here I am recording it again. Anyway, okay, so where did I leave off at in the first initial video? Yes, so I went to Navy Pier, and it was nice, you know, doing the Ferris wheel and being out there, but seeing a lot of, you know, expectant moms, people with their kids, families, it definitely was triggering. And that's how it was, for the first few weeks of, you know, healing. So I was able, and I'm grateful for this, I was able to take a month from work. And that's because I have short-term disability. So I'm like, I'm just going to use it. And I say that because there's a lot of women that experience having a miscarriage, and unfortunately, they can't afford to take time from work because one, employers don't understand it, and two, they have to work. So it's very hard to heal from something like that emotionally, mentally, and physically when you have to be back at work. And I just wanted some time to go to the doctor, as well as um not have to talk about it. I do a job where mentally I have to be in it, and mentally I just was not there. So yeah, I took some time, off. And really, when you're healing from an ectopic pregnancy, you should be drinking a lot of water, just resting, watching what you eat, no alcohol. They didn't say anything about weed, they said no smoking. And I'm gonna be real with you. The first few weeks, I was smoking weed, I was drinking sometimes, and that was just me trying to cope with the two losses. Not saying that it was right, but I'm human at the end of the day. So I rested a lot. I ate whatever I wanted to eat. And, you know, that was basically it. So the video before this that I recorded, I got emotional. So that's why I look, like this. But, and I don't feel like recording a long ass video again. So this is what it is. During the time that I was home, I have to say the father of my child, because that's what he is. He was really good at being supportive. So he pushed me to get out the house. We would go to the lake a lot, made sure that I would eat. He really was there for me in the hospital and after. We went and we got crystals, and I really enjoyed that month home. And sometimes I would just lay in bed and I would just hold my left side and I would like talk to the baby, let them know like it's okay, like basically letting the baby go back into the spiritual realm. And I just spent a lot of time just resting. And now I'm in a much better space, but I was in a really dark space for a long time. Sometimes I would just lay in bed and like sob, and this is my first time really talking about it openly. But it's very important that when you go through something like that, that you have a support system, that they don't judge you and they don't tell you no bullshit. Like, at the end of the day, the worst thing you could tell somebody going through a miscarriage is it wasn't meant to be. Everything happens for a reason. At least you got caught it early. Like, none of that shit matters. It's still a loss. I'm still grieving. You know what I mean? And in my last video, I said, it's not like I wasn't planning to become pregnant, but I had that destination syndrome. Like, okay, by 30, I should have had a kid by now. I'm not on birth control. So if I was to have a kid, I would accept it. And when I found out I was pregnant, I was broken up from, my child's father. So, because it was, I hate saying the word toxic, but it was a toxic situation. And so just navigating that in itself. I had a baby on it, that's like on level 1000. But when my family found out I was pregnant, they're like, this is not a good situation to bring a baby in. You should consider terminating it. And I'm pro-choice. I feel like people should do what they want to do. However, I just couldn't do it. And people know that about me. I remember writing an essay in my English SAT class, and I was so pro life back then. And it ain't COVID, y'all. So I remember the professor asked me, "Are you born again Christian?" It's like, no, me personally, I just can't go through a terminal pregnancy. So I already knew that I would have kept it. And this is where divine intervention came in. Now, God knows me. God knows that it's not something that I could have done. It's no way that I could have walked into a facility and do that. And I always felt like feminine energy, like it was a girl. It didn't have to be a girl. It could have been a boy with more feminine energy, but that's just what I was getting. So part of me healing, obviously, I'm just feeling my emotions and crying it out and having boundaries. And when I say having boundaries, I mean I didn't put myself in situations where I would easily be triggered. So while I was healing, I got invited to baby showers. Didn't go to them. Why? Because how can I show up as my best self and be happy and supportive if I'm undergoing a loss right now? That's not being authentic to me. And some people are different. That's just not me. I couldn't do it. So just that, not talking about it when I don't want to talk about it, not letting anybody tell me how I should feel. And that's what goes into people saying like, at least you caught it early, it wasn't meant to be. Fuck all that. Ain't nobody trying to hear it. But, my support system was really good about not doing that. I was in therapy, so that helped. So my support system was basically my therapist, my mom, my cousin, and Justin. And, this situation honestly caused me to be very isolated, very withdrawn. So if you, personally know me and I haven't really been hanging out or not that visible, I just couldn't do it. And what really was helpful in my healing journey was being able to go to Miami and just relax, get dressed up, lay by the pool, eat good. That was really good. So eventually I stopped drinking, stopped smoking, did a full-on detox, did a social media break, and just spent time with myself. I still cry to this day. I cried in that video that I wasn't visible, that I have to re-record right now. But I'm still, healing. And I remember going back to the doctor and she was pregnant. I remember coming home and like, damn, everybody is being able to be pregnant and have a full-term pregnancy except me. And then you start questioning God, and then it's like, girl, don't do that. But goes back to my point about divine intervention. So I say the whole thing about feminine energy because I had a reading done and it ended up being that it was a girl. And because I had that destination syndrome, I basically pulled her into this realm before she was ready to. And because we're all spiritual beings, damn. I don't know, maybe spirit don't want me to tell you all this part. But anyway, we're all spiritual beings that is going through a human experience. Now you can say, I'm ready to have a human experience, and then decide, no, I don't want to anymore. So, mind you, in my camera again. So what ended up happening is the timeline that she wanted to come, the timeline that, subconsciously I had for myself was just not in alignment, and she chose not to come. And with her and God saying, like, I'm just gonna make the decision for you, that was divine intervention. And I always said if I had a daughter, I would name her Orchid. I've always loved that name. And that's the birth of this channel, Divine Orchid. I think that she saved my life, and she gave me the courage to leave a situation that wasn't the best for me, that I wasn't valued and I wasn't respected as much as I should have been. And really, I think she's something special, that she saw that if I was able to bring her to full term, it would have been me repeating a cycle, then her being a witness to that, and then her repeating a cycle. And she chose differently. She chose to come at a time when she'll have two parents in a healthy relationship. And that's the thing about breaking generational curses. It's not easy. It's hard. It hurts. But somebody got to do it. And I will always honor her. And this is in honor of Divine Orchid, my Divine Orchid, as well as my uncle that I lost. So how can I not be grateful for that? How can I not come to a greater understanding and acceptance of why things had to happen the way that they did? And I may experience her soul again, and I may not. But for the short amount of time, I'm thankful, as well as grateful that I was able to experience her in the way that I did. So, yeah, before I get emotional again, because I don't want tears flowing like it did in the last video, but this video is in honor of Baby Orchid and my uncle. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Leave a comment below, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
Understand when you don't know the truth, 'cause we all got some shit that we don't like to mention. And the things that keep me up, they made me who I am, yeah.